There's no time.
Move fast there. Come on.
And here we go on a Wednesday installment of America's favorite sports talk radio segment. It is time for Quick Hits right here on the Jake Asman Show. A lot to get to here in Quick Hits, and we start things off by talking about the new NBA's MVP. Nikola Jokic has earned the NBA's MVP award for the 2020-2021 season. He ran away with the award. He beat out Joel Embiid of the Sixers and Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. So Jokic becomes the sixth international player to win the NBA's MVP award. And get this, Jokic was the 41st overall pick in the second round of the draft in 2014. Second round pick. Don't tell me second round picks are worthless. 41st pick, second round, MVP. And for Jokic, he's always loved being the underdog.
Being underdog is something that, like I said, I was my whole life. So it's something that I really kind of feel nice to nobody believes in you. So it's proving people wrong, surprising the world.
What's amazing about Jokic is I went back and watched what it was like on the broadcast when he was drafted. There was nothing. You want to know why, Ron?
I know why.
They were running a Taco Bell commercial when it was announced that he was the pick by the Nuggets.
Yep. You had to come back later and watch while you were away, here's some draft picks you missed.
Here's a guy from Serbia that went to the Nuggets. Crazy. Jokic, though, unbelievable. And look at some of the lowest drafted players to ever win an MVP award in recent years. Jokic, 41st. Giannis, 15th. Steve Nash, 15th. Kobe Bryant, 13th.
But look at the gap.
Karl Malone, 13th. What stands out to you about that list?
Yeah, no, not only that, but when you're saying look at the lower seeds, at least, the last few names you mentioned were all first round picks. And the lowest one you mentioned was 15.
And Jokic was the 41st.
And then you got to scroll through a whole lot.
Jokic is the first center to win the MVP award since Shaq in 2000 with the Lakers.
We're going to see a center resurgence.
And this was a blowout, by the way. Jokic got 91 first place votes.
Yeah, that was the surprising thing, right? We all kind of assumed he was going to win, but I didn't think it was going to be that drastic.
I don't really understand how you could give it to anyone else. Like, Embiid was great. He didn't play enough games. Steph Curry was great. His team didn't win enough games. Giannis was great. Voter fatigue, though. You're not going to give it to a guy that's on the third place.
But didn't you get the feeling that these guys were going to get a little more first place votes than they did?
Look, I thought Chris Paul should have got more love. Chris Paul finished behind Giannis in voting. I think that's a joke.
Now, how do you feel about two of your players getting votes? One of them getting a first place vote.
Yes, we will talk about that right now, Ron. Derrick Rose received a first place vote, and I'll come clean. It was me. He just had such an impact on my life that I had to give him my vote.
You have to.
He earned it. He overcame adversity and led the Knicks to the playoffs. I had to give it to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose got more MVP votes than Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, James Harden, LeBron, Kawhi. These are first place votes, by the way. Now, you might be saying, how the hell did Derrick Rose get a first place vote? Because apparently they allow a fan vote to count for one of the many votes. And the fans voted for Derrick Rose.
All right.
I love fans. Never change. Oh, never change. Congrats to Nikola Jokic on winning the NBA's MVP award. And they're going to need to play like a MVP later tonight. Denver's down 0-1 in the series. Game 2 tonight against the Suns. Only game of the night in the NBA playoffs. They need him to ball out for the Nuggets to win that series. From the NBA's MVP conversation to one of the two games last night, Sixers defeated the Hawks 118-102. Joel Embiid had 40 points, 13 rebounds, and the Sixers evened up the series with Trae Young, who did his part, 21 points, 11 assists. Now, we spent a lot of time looking at it from the Philly perspective, but how about the Hawks angle on this? They did what they had to do. They got the split, just like they did against the Knicks, where they took game 1, then lost game 2, and went back to Atlanta. Philly lost game 1. They won game 2, but Atlanta did its job. They got the road split. And Trae Young is satisfied with that split?
I think it was good the way we came out here and got a game. Obviously, they're a really good team on their floor. So getting one game out here was something we wanted to at least do. Came up short in this game, but I mean, I'm proud of the way we fought. Obviously, they came out there hitting some shots, and they came out ready to play. So for us, we got to make the adjustments and proper adjustments going into Game 3, and we'll be all right.
Do you buy Trae Young saying the Hawks will be all right? Have the first 2 games of this series convinced you, Ron Culver, Atlanta could beat Philly?
Yes, they have, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the game looked like it was getting out of hand, and the Hawks were fighting their way back and kind of made it a little close, made a little run there towards the end. It won't surprise me if the Hawks actually do take down the Sixers. Funny enough, even though I don't think the Hawks have the longevity to take it all the way, but they're playing really great right now. It shouldn't surprise anyone.
They need John Collins to get going if they're going to win. I think that's key for them. I think he's an important piece of kind of what they do. We know Young will play well. He's a star. Kevin Huerter's giving them some great minutes. I mean, he was phenomenal off the bench last night. Good win for the redheaded community when he plays well. So you love to see that. But, man, Sixers are loaded, man. And, for them to win that game and Simmons only scores 4 points kind of just speaks to just how good Embiid was in that spot last night. To the NFL now. Aaron Rodgers is officially holding out. He did not report to a mandatory minicamp yesterday. So the Packers now have Jordan Love running their offense as the starting quarterback. Who will Jordan Love be throwing to the football? Well, he still has Devontae Adams. He was definitely going to show up because he told you yesterday he grew up poor and is not giving away money that he earned. Well said by Devontae Adams. He also said that he still stands with Aaron Rodgers. This was Devontae Adams yesterday.
If there's ever a wonder of, he's lost a teammate or something because of all this come out, like he knows where I stand. I'll stand on I'll stand on the mountain and scream on the mountaintop, that I got his back.
Thank you for excusing yourself there, Devontae. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Look, the reality is players usually side with players. And Aaron Rodgers is beloved by the Packers players, so they're not going to come out and say anything negative. You do wonder, though, it's only June. If he doesn't show up for training camp and, dare I say, a regular season game or two, is it going to be like a Le'Veon Bell situation where eventually the players start to comment publicly about their displeasure with how the holdout is going? Like right now, it's fine. It's freaking June. Who cares? Will it become a distraction for the Packers? Will it become an issue if it lingers and goes a little further? We're not there yet, but it's something to kind of keep your eyes on as that story develops here. Continuing with Rodgers' teammates weighing in on everything. How about the best left tackle in the sport? David I can never say his name. Bakhtiari. Bakhtiari. That's it. Yep. David Bakhtiari. He has weighed in on the Rodgers drama.
Control what you can control. It's out of our power. It's a situation that is between another player which you have no control of and the organization which you have no control of. So I learned that early on. I mean, I have a very close relationship with Aaron, but this is something that is not. I'm not going to inject myself in the middle. This is between them and whatever they come to. I mean, hey, the show must go on.
The show must go on. Now, I will say this. The Packers would never say it, and we talked about it yesterday, and I thought Andrew Brandt made this point on Twitter and said it perfectly. It's not the worst thing in the world that Rodgers is not participating in a June minicamp. You need to know what you have in Jordan Love. He didn't have a preseason last year. You got to decide if Rodgers is definitely not going to show up and you actually are going to consider trading him, you got to see what Jordan Love is as a player. And letting him get all these reps is beneficial for him.
Yeah.
Just like it was beneficial for Rodgers when Favre was doing his old, I'm going to retire. Actually, just kidding, I'm going to play. They got to see Rodgers run the offense in mini camps and training camps.
Yeah, I wish I remembered how it went for Rodgers because the reports coming out of Packer Nation at these mini camps, it hasn't been going so well for Love. He's been missing his receivers, overthrowing receivers. I guess they did a 2-minute drill, and he couldn't get it past the 46-yard line.
Happens to the best of us.
I know. People are going to harp on this all training camp long. There's a whole lot of added pressure on Jordan Love that probably is unnecessary, but it's there.
Well, blame the Packers for trading up in the first round to take him, coming off a 13-3 season when your quarterback was still playing at a elite level. Blame the Packers for that. That all being said, I still maintain my stance that push comes to shove, Rodgers shows up, he plays his final year in Green Bay, and then we move on going forward. Staying with the football talk, staying with the quarterback talk, Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy says Dak Prescott is 100% healthy and will be a full go at training camp. So with that in mind, Dak healthy, you look at the NFC East, Dallas has the best quarterback in the division, so expectations are high, right, Mike McCarthy?
I think it's like all of us. I mean, we were 6-10 last year. So, I mean, regardless of how we got there and what happened, but the motivation is very high in our building. And I think you've seen it from everybody involved. So the motivation's high. I mean, it's about winning. We understand that. We feel like we have a great opportunity with the roster that we've established, but we know we have a lot of work to do. Make no bones about it.
If they don't win the division, he's probably got to go. Like, I don't usually say, ahead of time, if this doesn't happen, fire the coach and whatnot. But look at the NFC East right now. The best team might be Washington. They won the division last year at 7-9, and they added Ryan Fitzpatrick to replace Alex Smith.
Who, by the way, took an awesome back-to-school photo.
He did. I love Fitz, but we know what Fitz is as a player. Great guy.
He'll win you a couple games. He'll probably throw for 1,000 yards in one game. And that'll be
And then he'll follow that up with a 6-interception game the next
Exactly.
week, which we've seen many times. Now, you look at the division. Eagles are in flux. Giants have question marks with Daniel Jones. Cowboys have a quarterback they just gave the most money to out of anyone. They got to win the division. Their offense is loaded. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? So, I think anything short of a Cowboys playoff berth, McCarthy's gone, but they really should win that division because it's not any good.
No, I think you're right. I don't know if playoff berth is obviously, that'll save anyone's job except for Marty Schottenheimer. But yeah, they should win the division easily with a few games left.
They probably want. Look, the Giants are an improved team. If Daniel Jones plays really well, that could change the whole complexion of the division. But I'm still iffy on what Daniel Jones is.
Yeah.
They obviously have set him up for success. Like, you can't say he doesn't have weapons like Sam Darnold did in New York. Daniel Jones has Kenny Golladay, Saquon back. Obviously, they already had, some good receivers like Slayton and Shepard, and then they go out there and draft Tony in the first round from Florida. No excuse for the Giants not to be a vastly improved football team. But Dallas still has a quarterback that's been to the Pro Bowl, that's put up big, lofty numbers. Win the division. You're not asking for that much if you're the Cowboys. I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you should expect to win the division. And Mike McCarthy was brought in to be the Jason Garrett replacement. Year one was a disaster. Now, he gets a mulligan. Dak got hurt. But year two better be much better. How about year 22 for the reigning MVP of the Super Bowl? The guy that won 7? Tom Brady.
Who?
Tom?
Never heard of him.
Tom Brady. I mentioned it. Year 22 for Tom. This was his head coach yesterday, Bruce Arians, and how Brady looked at practice.
They looked fine. I had to pull him out a couple. The first period, I said, okay, you can have 4. They kept begging to go back in. But the only thing I didn't want him in was the blitz period where, some guys might get around him too quick.
Wow.
Arians, isn't he wearing a red shirt?
Bruce. I think Tom knows how to protect himself.
Well, not only that, but I think the defense would know number 12's behind center, that let's not squash him.
The player on the Bucs that even gets close to Tom Brady in a live practice drill will be excommunicated from society.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Like anyone who accidentally even placed a hand on his shoulder.
If you breathe near Tom Brady, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're off the team.
Yeah.
It's immediately you get back into the locker room. That guy knows what's coming, and that's the assistant coach going, coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook.
I don't even know if you get that. I think they just be like, get out.
hand me the playbook.
Just get out, leave. You're done. Julio Jones will have a new number with the Titans. He's switching to number 2. Even though A.J. Brown, who wears number 11, which Julio, of course, has worn in his career with the Falcons, offered the number. Julio said, nope, you keep it. I'm going to number 2. It's going to look weird when we see some of these high-profile players in single-digit numbers. It's going to take some time to get used to.
Yeah, because it was weird when the all of a sudden wide receivers just started wearing teens. Remember that? It was like out of nowhere they just started wearing 17 and 16 and 11, and we're like, well, for me that was weird because I've always grown up with them being in the 80s.
It is strange.
And now we're gonna have single digits out there.
Yeah,
Anybody wearing a single digit jersey.
Well, most of the guys wearing single digits are going to be the rookies that come in because they can benefit right away. But if you change teams, you're going to be a single digit guy. Like, Patrick Peterson changed his number. Julio Jones is changing his number. Like, notable stars that are on different teams are going to change their number.
Unless you want to buy a whole bunch of jerseys.
Yeah, unless you want to be like Dalvin Cook, who was going to have to pay like $4 million to buy out all the inventory of his jersey to then change back to, I think, at number 4 he wore at Florida State.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So there you go. And that wraps it up for Quick Hits here on a Wednesday edition of America's favorite sports talk radio segment. Coming up next, let's talk some hockey. Let's take your calls. Islanders try to close out the Bruins tonight. Tampa closed out Carolina. And the Vegas Knights won a huge road game 5 in overtime. We'll talk some NHL playoffs next here at the Jake Asman Show.
The Jake Asman